Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this top using my pattern, which is linked down below. This tie back top is a beginner friendly sewing pattern. It's fully lined, which eliminates the need of a serger or a zigzag stitch, and it gives it a nice professional finish on the inside as well as on the outside. When it comes to sizing, please read the listing carefully to make sure you choose the right size for you. In short, I recommend you go with the size that is closest to your bust measurement and adjust the pattern as needed from there. For reference, my bust is 88 cm and my waist is 68 cm, and I'm making a size small. However, it's normal that our bodies don't fit into a standardized size, so always sew up a mock-up and make the needed alterations from there. If there is any interest, I'll make a separate video on how to fit the top perfectly to your body, so leave any questions you have down below. When you print out the pattern, you'll have two options, one using 1 cm seam allowance and one using 1/2 inch. I'm using the one with 1 cm seam allowance, but if you're used to the imperial system, please use 1/2 inch of seam allowance for the whole pattern, even though I'm saying to use 1 cm in this tutorial. Make sure you're printing at 100% scale and measure the square to make sure it's exactly 10 by 10 centimeters. Now lay the pattern pieces out like this and tape them together. Make sure you're not overlapping, and then you can cut out the pieces and lay them on the fabric like this. So the center front and the upper center front are placed on the fold of the fabric, and the other pieces are placed so that the grain line is parallel to the selvage of the fabric. This means that the straps are cut out on the bias. This makes them a little bit more tricky to sew, but easier to turn right side out. If you want, you can cut them on grain, that's with the long edge parallel to the selvage, and it will save you some fabric as well. Oh, and make sure you cut out 2 pairs of the ties. And remember to mark the notches as well. I also like to mark this point with needles, and the same with the side front as well. Now do the same thing with the lining fabric, except you don't need to cut out the straps and ties. I'm using white viscose fabric to make it easier to show you guys, but you could use the same fabric as your main fabric as long as it's not too thick. And now we're ready to sew. I like to start with the straps, so fold them right sides together lengthwise. Repeat on all straps and trim away about half of the seam allowance. And turn them right side out using a safety pin or a strap turner, and put them away for later. Moving on to the lining, pin and sew the side front and the upper center front right sides together, making sure to match at the notches and the places that we marked with the pins earlier. Trim away about half of the seam allowance and press it towards the side. If you have a tailor's hem, now would be a good time to use it. If not, I like to use the edge of the ironing board like this. Pin and sew the bottom of the pieces you just sewed together with the top of the center front right sides together, and press the seam allowance open. side is facing up, and pin and sew the sides together with the side of the back pieces, and again press the seam allowance open. Now repeat the same steps on your main fabric. And lay them on top of each other, right sides together. Pin and sew along this line, making sure to start and stop at the seam where the side front meets the upper center front. Press the seam allowance towards the lining and understitch just a couple of millimeters away from the seam you just sewed, making sure to catch the seam allowance underneath. Press flat. With the shell and the lining right sides together again, place the ties as close as possible to the seam you just sewed. Pin and sew along this edge on both sides, stopping where the notches are. Here you're also going to press the seam allowance towards the lining and understitch. Just go as close to the straps as you can get. Then press flat. Again, right sides together. Place the tie at the top like so. And at the notch like this. Sew along this edge on both sides, and again understitching as close to the corner as you can get, pressing flat, and we're almost there. It's time to try it on and see how long you want the straps to be, so just pin them on like this, quite loosely. Try it on and pinch away the excess at the shoulder. Measure the amount you've taken out and pin again. I recommend you wear it like this for a few minutes before you go on to make sure it's the right fit for you. When you know where you like it to be, pull the strap through the little opening we left on the back and pin it in place. Sew the opening shot. Trim away the corner and the excess strap and repeat on the other side. And then press flat. Now the only thing left to do is to sew the bottom together. So for the last time, turn it right sides in, pin and sew along this edge, leaving a small gap for turning it right sides out again. Trim away the corners. Turn and press flat. Sew the opening we left together by hand, so here I'm just fastening my thread. And then I'm using a slip stitch to close it all together. Now the only thing left to do is trimming off the ties to the length you want them. I like mine short, So I'm trimming mine off to be 25 centimeters. And then you can finish them off just tying a knot if you want to, or you can use a slip stitch or just sewing them off like I'm doing here. Is finished. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll make sure to get back to you, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.